Hey guys, what's up Mustangs? Boo Guy Extra 1 back to Forza Motorsport 7 with a bit of an investigation. Now, if you want to build a race car like this one, which is built to A class, you pretty much want Forza Aero. Now you want varying degrees of tuning, but you definitely want Forza Aero. And I was experimenting, I was looking around in the cars, and I had a few wide-body cars, and they have absolutely massive wings the size of dinner tables. And that got me thinking, does a wide-body or, like, ducktail or massive spoiler wing actually help with traction and aerodynamics? So I was going to do a series of tests by getting some wide-body cars and putting, well, each type of wing, there's no wing, the wide-body wing, and the Forza Aero, and seeing which one has the fastest lap time. Now I had to pick a track that was nice and technical while still having a long straight. Like a nice medium balanced track. So I took them to the Le Mans Bugatti circuit to get some lap times done. Now, to do this, I was going to use the 1992 Honda NSX, which gets very unhappy with curves, I will add. Now, for the sake of fairness, I decided only to worry about the rear wing, because I've already done the investigation for the wide bodies, and the front aero may or may not have deciding factor, so I didn't want to include that. So, the NSX here has no aero parts whatsoever. I could not take off the back, like, little mini wing, so you're just gonna have to work with that. And it's a A-class car. I built it up how I would build a normal A-class car. And it's not too shabby, it's not too shabby at all. And you wouldn't notice many differences in the handling with these vehicles. You wouldn't notice too many differences between them. Now, obviously, the tires are a little cold, so the first lap you're going to notice a big difference, but overall, most of the time you wouldn't notice too big of a difference. And of course, the NSX being a supercar, a retro supercar, it's not going to have the same changes as, say, Datsun 240Z or anything like that. It's already got very good handling. I think it was Ayrton Senna who coined this car as a supercar. So, it's not going to be, I say it's not going to be the greatest vehicle for this, but it's still going to give us some data. And yeah, I had a 4-lap test around this track, 4 laps to get the best lap time possible. And then I moved on to the next set of modifications. Now, as you can see clearly here, this is the NSX with the Forza wing on it. And it did have a noticeable difference. I said it wouldn't have a noticeable difference, but from the stock variant to this variant, it does have a difference. You can actually feel the difference. It feels like you can carry a bit more corner speed and stuff like that. But the interesting thing is I still built this up to the top of A-class. And the wing drops at 3 PI points. Now, the wide-body wing dropped at 1 PI points. So, using the 1 PI from the wide-body wing, I got a flywheel and got a whopping 1 pound of weight out. But using the Forza wing, I was able to have 3 PI points, so I got that 1 pound of flywheel out, along with 5 extra horsepower from an intercooler upgrade. So this has 376 horsepower. Now, of course, the wing will make you slower in a straight line, but that power will most likely offset it. And it was very interesting. Now, I did not build them up without adding stuff on, because I didn't think that would be relevant. You're still going to add, theoretically, you're going to max out the PI for this class if you're building a car to it, so I didn't bother with that. And yeah, I think you can get a relatively noticeable difference in the handling. Now, the Forza wing and the Widebody wing didn't have so much of a difference. You couldn't really tell a difference between the two of them besides looks. And as for those lap times, well, they didn't really do much. The no wing did a 149.063. The Widebody Rocket Bunny kit wing did a 149.204. And the Forza wing did a 149.070. Which means every single version of the car was in 0.15 seconds of each other. Which, let's just say, isn't different enough to qualify as a definitive result. Because the general rule of thumb I use is it has to be half a second or more to make a substantial impact in lap time. Everything else can be down to, like, maybe you didn't get that perfect line on your final lap, or maybe you had a downshift too late, or something like that. They're all down to driver things. So anything over that is, I would consider to be substantial enough for actual evidence. And everything is within 0.15 seconds. Not really a definitive result. Yes, the Widebody wing is the slowest, but again, that could be due to so many different factors. And yes, the no wing is the fastest, but that is by less than 1/100th of a second. I mean, there's so many different factors that can result in a 1/10th of a second. It wasn't definitive enough for me, needless to say. So I had to go. I wasn't sure if it was the car, I wasn't sure if it was the track, or whatever. So I changed everything, pretty much, except for the original rules: 4 laps, 3 different settings, no wing, Forza wing, Widebody wing. And I moved to a different car, a different track, and a different style of Widebody wing. And that means I took a Sylvia Spec R from 2000, built it up to A class, did everything I did with the NSX with the 3 different variants, cut a few corners by taking terrible lines, and I went to Hockenheim, the short circuit, I believe is what it's called, the short circuit, with a smaller straight, because I didn't want to have a super long straight, but I did want to have a fairly long straight. I didn't want to have the national circuit. And I picked Hockenheim because, again, it's a very good variation. It has a long straight, has some low speed corners, high speed corners, medium speed corners. That, and I would say I'm pretty darn good at the circuit, because it's just one of the circuits that I'm best at. It's one of my strong suits in the circuit. So, again, this car has about 375 horsepower, and as you can see here, no front splitter, no aero at all. Now, this vehicle did have a rear wing from the stock car, but in order to maintain a controlled example, I did take that wing off, so it does look rather funny. It does look a little peculiar without the stock wing on it, or any wing at all. It kind of looks like a normal family sedan, or normal family saloon in a way, but yeah. I did it just to maintain a control, if you will. Control. No wing, no aerodynamic advantages at all. And, it's a bit tail-happy. The curve is also horrendous. That first corner, you do get 2 wheels and you just ruin your entire lap time. So this is a bit tail-happy. Unsurprisingly, it is a Sylvia. But it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad. And I did manage to get some good lap times in, and yeah, we'll just have to see how it compares to the other wings. Now, this version here, as you can see, has the ducktail spoiler on it from the Rocket Bunny kit. And this did the same thing as it did to the NSX. It dropped the PI 1 point, and that again allowed me for another flywheel. And the Forza wing did the exact same thing as well. It dropped at 3 PI points. I put the flywheel on and gave it a little bit more power. So this has, it's pretty much identical in weight to the stock car, and the Forza wing is the heaviest version, but not by very much. So it's all going to come down to aerodynamics. And this vehicle, I changed it up. I want to have the DuckTales blower just because that is a slightly different way to get aerodynamics for a wing, so I thought I would try that out. And again, it doesn't feel very noticeably different to the stock car or the Forza wing. It doesn't feel very different, and I was concerned that I wasn't doing the test right. However, the lap times are much more drastic than the NSX's were. The no-wing Sylvia did a 137.764. The Rocket Bunny wing was almost a second faster, did a 136.9. That's a sizable difference in PI, or in lap time, sorry. For 1 PI, that was a huge difference, and I was really surprised by that. Now, the other surprising thing is the Forza wing, which is pretty much exactly half a second faster than the Rocket Bunny. So, that was very interesting. That is right on the edge of my threshold, but I did say that was my threshold for significant data, so... yeah, Sylvia gave me much better results in terms of conclusive answers. And it's very interesting, because no wing is obviously going to be slower than the other wings. However, it's so drastically slower. It's a second and a bit slower than the Forza wing, and it's almost a second slower than the Rocket Bunny wing, which is just a little piece of plastic taped on, pretty much. Yeah, it was incredible. I don't know if it was a fantastic lap or something, but it certainly was conclusive. Now, the interesting thing is, the Forza wing versus the Rocket Bunny wing is just half a second. Now, if, for instance, you're running a challenge where you can't have any, like, Forza Aero, you toss on a wide-body wing, and that's going to give you a lot more grip. It's not going to be as fast as the Forza wing, but it's still going to give you a lot more grip than with no wing at all. So that's a nice loophole if you do have such a circumstance, like you're doing a challenge or you're doing a race series where you can't have any Forza Aero. And if they leave out that you can't have any Aero at all, you can put a Rocket Bunny kit on or a Liberty Walk kit, and you can have a wing, and it'll give you much faster lap time. So that's certainly something to keep in mind when you're building your cars to a certain class or something like that. Or a certain rule set. It is very interesting indeed. So, that begs the question, does a Rocket Bunny wide-body kit wing assist you in racing? Yes. Yes, it does assist you. It does give you significantly faster lap times. I think the problem with I think it slightly depends on the car. I will point that out. You see, I think the reason why the NSX had pretty much no difference is because it's already a pretty much purpose-built sports car, supercar. So adding some wings may not be as effective as, say, tires or power. But for the Sylvia, that's not a purpose-built race car, adding any form of aero on that vehicle that gives downforce will significantly improve your lap time. So I guess it kind of depends on the car. If you're having like a Ferrari F40, you're really... not that you can have one, for instance, but... if you have a Nissan GTR, you probably don't want a wing. You want a Forza wing. You don't want a wide body wing, you want a Forza wing. But if you have a 240SX, yeah. I mean, obviously the Forza wing is faster, but if you're not able to run them or something like that, or you don't quite have the PI and you don't know what to compromise on, a Rocket Bunny wing sure can help you out there. And yes, it's not going to be as fast, but it would still be competitive, I think, with Forza Wings. It'll still make you competitive. Now, obviously, this depends on your building. If you build all power, you may need some Forza Wings over Widebody wings. But if you build all handling, it might not make too much of a difference. But, yeah, certainly in these slower, non-sports cars, the Widebody wing will make a significant difference. And it's still very comparable. It's within half a second of, Forza adjustable wings. Now, that is the downside of the Widebody kit wings, is that you don't have any tuning options. So the Forza wings give you, you can add or reduce the amount of downforce you have for straight line speeds or very technical circuits, which can be a humongous advantage. So, overall, I would still obviously recommend to go with the Forza wing, but the Widebody kit wings certainly are not the worst things you could do to a car. And that's going to be it for this episode of Forza Motorsport 7. I'll be back with more